In the last video, I introduced the concept of the ECM. In this video, I want to take a deeper dive into the ECM and also bring up the concept of homotoxicology, the study of how toxins and toxicants affect cellular function. So here we have a diagram of the ECM. You can see here, this is what the ECM looks like. It's the space that surrounds and occupies the extracellular space of the body. It touches all the organ cells of the body. We have the organ cells here. And then it's also in contact with the circulatory system via the capillaries here. The nerve cells of our body have their endpoints in the extracellular matrix here. So we have the sympathetic nerve cells and parasympathetic nerve cells touch the space. And then within the space we have water, we have protein structures and protein fibers and filaments. We have matrix cells, we have connective tissue cells, which produce the protein lattice structure, and then we have immune cells, which also are in the ECM. So this diagram was created by Alfred Pischinger, one of the founding scientists and fathers of the ECM, and he described this as its own separate functional unit that created a holism within the body, connected all the parts of the body together via this network of the ECM. So how does the function of the ECM work in a healthy person day to day? So here we have the circulatory system running the blood cells of our body, carrying oxygen and nutrients to the cells. So how does that actually happen? So the heart pumps the blood. It gets passed through the small single cell capillaries, and we have exchange that occurs at the junction between the ECM and the capillary here. So the capillaries release oxygen and nutrients into the extracellular matrix. This then gets taken up by the cells of the different organs of the body. The organs of the body take up the nutrients, they take up the oxygen and the different nutrients. They metabolize, they do what the cell does. They produce function for that organ. And then they excrete. They excrete their metabolic waste products into the ECM, where the lymphatic system takes up that garbage, that cellular waste, takes it up and brings it into lymphatic circulation. So once it's in lymphatic circulation, it gets pumped through the lymph nodes and lymphatic vessels. And the lymphatic system doesn't have its own pump. It relies on our muscles to get the pump going. So the lymph fluid goes down the lymphatic vessels and it gets into circulation by the subclavian vein. And there it goes into regular circulation where the metabolic waste products are pumped through normal circulation into the liver, into the kidneys, and the liver get excreted out as bile, and the kidney get excreted out as urine. There's a little more nuance here with the liver actually producing the water-soluble components that get excreted about the kidneys, but this is a general way that it works. So what happens when we have an increase in toxicity, which is the normal state of affairs now with people becoming more and more toxic, more and more exposure to increasing toxic levels? So we get an increase in toxicity in the extracellular matrix. And this eventually leads to cell damage and cell degeneration. How does that happen? So in homotoxicology, we have a way of describing how increasing toxic burden in the ECM is actually affecting the organs of our cells. So in homotoxicology, there are 6 phases of cellular degeneration and disease. So the first phase, what happens, there's an increasing load of toxicity in the body. The body starts to excrete it. So the first phase is excretion. So you get an increase of urine, sweating, diarrhea. The body's trying to expel this increased mucus production. The body's trying to expel this increased toxicity through normal routes of excretion. So you get an increase of these types of symptoms. If the toxic load continues to increase, you move on to the next phase, which is inflammation. And here we have all the itises that we experience. So all the inflammatory inflammation that happens in the body happens in this stage when the immune system becomes overwhelmed with increasing toxic load, and it starts releasing inflammatory cytokines, and then depending on the organ compartment of the body, it expresses itself differently. Past inflammation, if the toxic load continues to increase and there's not healthy excretion that's going on, we have the deposition phase. Toxins begin to become compartmentalized and hidden in the different areas of the body. You get things like stones, gout, calcification, swellings in the body. The body's trying to hide and put it into more deeper storage. These three phases are really where a lot of the magic can happen in terms of natural medicine, because if we catch patients in these stages, in the earlier stages, we can reverse the toxic load on the cells before there's any more damage or destruction on the cells. The next three phases, the toxins are going deeper inside the cells. So the fourth phase is impregnation. At this stage, toxins are starting to enter the cell, and they're starting to affect enzymatic functioning. They're starting to break down the normal, healthy functioning of the cells. The extracellular matrix is overwhelmed. The body becomes overwhelmed. It starts damaging the normal functioning organ cells. Past this stage, we have degeneration. The cell is beginning to really not function properly. Some cells begin to die off. You have more organ-wide dysfunction of the cells, and then system-wide dysfunction of the cells. So this is one of the final stages. But the last stage is when toxins actually enter into the nucleus of the cells. They get inside the nucleus and start damaging DNA, and cells begin to no longer function properly. They begin to function in a neoplastic way, or this phase is called de-differentiation. The cells no longer acting like themselves. They're acting more like cancerous cells. We have de-differentiation. So what do we do about this? In biological medicine, the best way that we know of to get rid of this toxic burden is through drainage remedies. Drainage remedies are designed to target the lymphatic system, the liver, the kidneys, and the gut in order to support proper elimination and drainage of the extracellular matrix. When we can get the toxic burden down, the toxic load down, we can start reversing the direction of disease and dysfunction towards healthy excretion. So these drainage remedies are designed to do exactly that. They're specifically designed homeopathic and herbal preparations that are designed to support the natural flow of detoxification and lowering the toxic burden in the ECM. So if you are in these more advanced stages of chronic disease, you are going to see because we're moving back through these phases of cellular dysfunction, you're going to get to levels of inflammation. You're going to have some uncomfortable symptoms potentially with drainage. You might have an increase in fever. You might have more swelling. You might have more pain, more fatigue. But these are all good signs. These are signs of inflammation. Things are moving in the right direction. So we actually look for these signs as something that we want to see when we're going through a drainage protocol. So this, is a little bit of a deeper dive. Still, there's a lot more to cover. I go into all of this in further depth and detail and talk a lot about drainage and how to get drainage remedies and how to utilize drainage remedies effectively, different protocols in my upcoming course, which is going to be available in a couple of weeks. So you can sign up for the wait list in the link in my bio. But yeah, so that is a little bit of a deeper dive there. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found this useful, and I will see you on the next one.